Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's SpinFire Insight webinar. I'm Cherise Dalton, Regional Marketing Manager here at TechSoft 3D and your host for today. Over the past year, we've had some changes and made many updates to SpinFire Insight, and we're excited to be sharing those updates with you today. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by two of my esteemed colleagues, Carissa Moreau, Senior Customer Relationship Representative, and Ricky Johnson, Technical Marketing Consulting Engineer. Without further ado, let's get started. Welcome, Carissa. The floor is yours.
Hi, Cherise. Thank you for the introduction. Hello, everybody. As Cherise previously said, I am Carissa Moreau. I am the Senior Customer Relationship Representative of the Industrial Apps side of TechSoft 3D. And we are going to briefly get into SpinFire Insight. We're going to do a quick recap from last webinar that we had, a demo on SpinFire Insight, and at the end, we're going to wrap it up with talk of enterprise visualization. So as I said, a quick overview before we get into the details. As you know, TechSoft 3D is the leading technology provider to the engineering community dedicated to unlocking the power of 3D. By now you know or you have seen or received information regarding our marketing rebrand around the SpinFire product suite and how it has grown. What you knew of SpinFire to be just our single SpinFire Insight solution is now included within the expanded portfolio featuring SpinFire Convert, SpinFire Insight, and SpinFire XR. Just to give you a quick overview, SpinFire Convert, which connects with the supply chain, delivers seamless and accurate data translation between CAD, visualization, and publishing formats to enable collaboration between suppliers, partners, and customers so that all are working with reliable data. Insight, which we will get into momentarily, unlocks enterprise-wide CAD access that focuses on visualization and analysis to measure and markup without the need for native CAD software. And finally, SpinFire XR, which is the immersive visualization for the industrial metaverse, bringing CAD models into surrounding environments to interact with their design in a mixed and virtual reality and transforms how colleagues learn, collaborate, and engage with 3D data. Basically, to sum this up, Convert moves it, Insight reveals it, and XR immerses you in it. That is the power of this expanded product suite. Today, we're going to cover how SpinFire Insight helps unlock the power of CAD data, the way we have for over 2,000 organizations that have trusted SpinFire Insight to help them succeed. You can see here, SpinFire serves a global customer base with over 80% involved in the automotive sector. I am pleased to have many of you here with us today, so welcome. Let's start by framing one of the biggest challenges we see across the manufacturing and engineering organizations. Many teams struggle, not because the data isn't there, but because it's locked behind complexity. CAD authoring tools were never meant for the average user. They're incredibly powerful, but also extremely technical, and that means most non-engineers can't access or use the data without help from someone who can. This creates bottlenecks and slows down the process across departments. What are your options today? Get more CAD licenses. Licenses for CAD systems are expensive, and adding more users quickly becomes impractical. Even when the companies do invest, adoption tends to stay low among non-technical users. What happens instead? The teams resort to screenshots, exports, or simplified formats just to share what's inside the CAD files. Ultimately, it creates silos and inconsistent information across the organization. So while CAD data holds tremendous value, the complexity, cost, and limited accessibility often keep the value trapped. That is the problem SpinFire Insight was designed to solve, making the CAD access simple, scalable, and secure for everyone who needs it. SpinFire Insight is the advanced CAD visualization and analysis tool that enables users to view, measure, and mark up complex 3D CAD models without requiring the native CAD software. One of the key challenges in liberating the CAD data is that it often contains more detail than the users need. And regardless of the modeling style, the amount of data makes it difficult to manage and review. SpinFire Insight excels at eliminating non-essential information when processing data without impacting the original data set. The lightweight and accurate representation, it's compact and easy to share, store, and manipulate for streamlining engineering workflows, enhancing the collaboration across the teams and suppliers. SpinFire Insight makes the complex task feel easy and natural, and that's how we became the leading vendor-neutral visualization solution. Now that I've given you a brief overview of the SpinFire Insight, updates on the new and ongoing initiatives with the rebrand, I'd like to reintroduce my colleague Ricky, where he's going to provide a brief overview of our website updates and demo SpinFire Insight. Go ahead, Ricky, whenever you're ready.
Hey, thanks so much, Carissa. So as Carissa mentioned, my name is Ricky Johnson, and I'm a technical marketing consulting engineer here at TechSoft 3D. And I'd like to show you just some of what's new with SpinFire Insight, as well as some of the changes that have been made to our website. So you should now be seeing my screen. So this is the SpinFire Insight help site. So you can access all of your information for SpinFire Insight, SpinFire Manage, and all of the other products that we have available as well. So if you've used the help site in the past, you might notice that this URL has changed just a little bit. It's now docs.techsoft3d.com/SpinFire. However, if as I said, if you've used this site before, you might be familiar with help.spinfire.com. So this link still works, and it just redirects you to this landing page. So no broken links or anything like that. You can still access all of the information that you used to be able to on the old help site. Additionally, there's still all of the information that you're used to. You can download SpinFire Insight and see different installation documentation as well for not only SpinFire Insight, but SpinFire Publish, Manage, and all of the other products that we have available. Another thing that's useful from this landing page is the SpinFire Learning Platform. And this is a great resource if you need to just get a refresher course on SpinFire Insight or get any of your employees up to speed with SpinFire Insight. We have several courses available to you. So it's a great tool to utilize if you just need a slight refresh. Another thing that I'd like to mention that's accessible from this page is our documentation. So if you've used this in the past, our documentation in the past, you might notice that this looks a little bit different than it used to. We've just rebranded and reskinned our documentation to match all of our other products that we offer as well. So all of the great information that you used to get in the old documentation is still here. However, there's been some additions that I'd actually like to point out to you. The first one is Spinny. So Spinny is our AI agent. It behaves a lot like ChatGPT, Perplexity, or any other of the other AI agents that are available online. You just basically ask it a question, and Spinny will go out in the documentation and look for relevant links and provide you with a concise answer to your question. So this is a great way to navigate our documentation just because, as I mentioned, it provides you with reference links and things like that. So you can deep dive into specific subjects if that's something that you'd like to do, rather than needing to expand all of these sub menus and things like that to navigate our documentation. It's just a much quicker way to find the information that you're looking for. Another thing that I'd like to point out within the documentation are our technical support guides. So if you ever get stuck with SpinFire Insight or things aren't behaving quite properly, this is a great place to start to try to get yourself unstuck. So a lot of the questions that we get in the help desk are kind of like commonly asked questions, and a lot of those questions can be answered by these technical support guides. So as mentioned, if you ever find yourself unsure of how to accomplish a task or resolve an issue, these technical support guides are great, and especially if you don't feel like reaching out to the help desk. However, if you do want some kind of one-on-one help from our amazing engineering team, the support portal is available here as well. So through the support portal, you can basically do anything that you'd like to in regards to getting support. So you can ask a question, you can report a bug, you can even suggest new features. So this is kind of your hub if you ever want to get in contact with any of our technical representatives here at TechSoft 3D. Additionally, we have a new service agent, AI service agent, I should say. Again, it behaves a lot like Spinny, but this one is designed specifically for technical support. So again, if you don't feel like talking to us, you can talk to this virtual agent and it'll try to help you troubleshoot and find a solution. Another new thing that's new to SpinFire Insight is our community forum. So in the community forum, sorry, I should back up a little bit. Our community forum isn't exactly new. It's just new to our applications division. So we've had the forum for a while for our toolkits, and now we're trying to get it rolling here with our applications division. So within the forum, you can ask questions, you can communicate with other customers, see what questions they've asked, and things like that. This is just another great way to communicate with our team and others, other SpinFire Insight users. So as mentioned, this is kind of just getting started in its starting stages. So there's not a ton of content in here currently. However, we will be adding to it, and we'd love it if you come and explore the forum. If you'd like to just say hi or anything like that, we'd love to hear from you and communicate with you. One of the last things that I'd like to point out in the documentation are our release notes. So this is another resource. If you are curious about what's new with SpinFire Insight or what's new with a specific version, this will give you a concise summary of all of what's new with SpinFire Insight for a particular release. So basically, if you wanted to, you could kind of tune me out and find all of the information for the 2025.3.0 release or any of our prior releases as well. This is essentially everything that I'll be talking about as far as what's new with SpinFire Insight. So again, if you'd like or even after this webinar, if you'd like to review some of this information, all of that is available to you. So with that said, I'd actually like to transition over to SpinFire Insight and show you a little bit of our new features. So the first thing that I'd like to point out is new navigation that's been implemented within SpinFire Insight 2025.3.0. So if you're a classic SpinFire Insight user, or if you've used SpinFire Insight in the past, you might remember that zoom and rotate typically rotate around the center of mass of whatever object you're looking at. However, with this release of SpinFire Insight, we've kind of updated how that works a little bit. So now, if you hover over any part of your geometry and click and drag, it will now rotate around the center point of where you were once hovering. So this allows you to quickly change how rotation happens within the application and just gives you a bit more control over how you can rotate and manipulate your model. However, if you don't hover over any geometry and you click and drag, it will go back to the kind of default behavior of rotating around its center of mass. Additionally, another change that's been made is now within this latest release of SpinFire Insight, you can left click to select. Now, if you are a classic SpinFire Insight user, you might remember that right clicking was how you traditionally select. However, we kind of updated that a little bit just to kind of match some of the industry standard. A lot of viewers and CAD systems use left click to select. So for all new incoming SpinFire Insight users, we wanted to provide an experience that was kind of normalized and accepted within the industry. So we've changed that to be left click to select. However, we do realize that may be a bit of a jarring experience if you've used SpinFire Insight in the past. So if you think that using left click to select rather than right click, if you think that will really interrupt your workflow or anything like that, we do have this setting available in the Applications tab, this Enable the Classic Selection Mode. modifier. So you can enable this and it'll switch you back to being able to right click to select instead. Additionally, within this applications page, if you've used SpinFire Insight in the past, you might notice that it's been slightly rearranged. All of your settings now appear on the left side and all of your descriptions appear on the right side. And we just updated that. We thought that the user flow and user experience would be a bit more improved by having these settings on the left side rather than the right side. So it's just a small change to that. Another thing that has been updated is our directory installation. So I'm going to go back to my release notes because it's actually not with the latest version, but it's with 2025.2.0 that this has been changed. So in this version, or in this page of the release notes, it goes through and shows you how these file locations have been updated. And if you're an IT manager, this is probably something that you care about. However, if you're just a traditional user of SpinFire Insight, this may not be very important to you, but wanted to point it out nonetheless. So everywhere that it used to say Actify within the program installation paths, it's now been updated to SpinFire. So it's just a naming change, really, but ultimately it does change where that path directory is located. So just wanted to point that out and make you aware of it if that's something that's important to you. Okay, navigating back to SpinFire Insight, one of the last things that I'd like to point out about what's new is your importer settings. So if you've used SpinFire Insight, if you were present for the latest webinar, the previous webinar, you were introduced to this section. And in this section of your importer settings, you can modify things like your performance enablers, you can change your tessellation level, you can also include different components of your assembly like wireframes, PMI attributes, etc. However, with this release of SpinFire Insight, we've added this preset slider. And this preset slider is just a way to be able to quickly change your settings, your importer settings, based on your system or the type of data that you're importing. So for example, right now, my preset is set to quality. And if you hover over it, it gives you a quick description of what this preset is really good for. So for example, this loads a full model with maximum detail. It's best for precise measurements, data translation, and small to medium parts or assemblies. Now, if you are working with small models and you know that precise measurement is something that's important to you, then quality might be the best preset to select. However, if you're working with larger models, maybe performance is the preset that will work better for you. So for example, performance opens very large models quickly by focusing only on primary geometry, and it's based for quick checks. It's best for quick checks or sharing context. So if you know that you primarily deal with large models, or maybe you're on an underpowered device that kind of has trouble loading some of the models that you interact with, maybe performance is something that would be a better preset for you. The nice thing about this is that this slider, once these presets are changed, you can actually see in real time how things get updated in this section below it. So for example, if I switch to performance, I'll be able to see some of my performance optimizations turned on. Some of my components of my models have been turned off as well, such as wireframes, PMI attributes, and hidden objects. And you can also see that your tessellation level has changed. So it went from being, extra high to extra low. And so as mentioned, you can quickly see what has changed from one preset to another, and you can decide whether this works well for your application or not. So if you decide like, hey, I have wireframes, PMI, and attributes within the models that I'm working with, I know that I'm going to need to import those. You can actually turn those on so that it best suits your application. And you might have noticed up here, this automatically switched from performance to custom instead. The nice thing about this is that once you start enabling and modifying this to best suit you, excuse me, um, SpinFire remembers those settings. So even if you close SpinFire and reopen it, all of these settings will remain available for you. So you don't have to try to remember what you turned on and turned off, and just really helps alleviate some of those additional things that you have to remember. So that's essentially everything that I wanted to show with what's new with SpinFire Insight. So now I'm going to transition just slightly to some features in SpinFire Insight that exist that I think are pretty cool, but are kind of underutilized. So SpinFire Insight has a lot of analysis tools in this tab. So you can see things like model compare, drafting analysis, curvature analysis, rule-based coloring, and more. And these tools are very useful depending on what types of work you do with your CAD model. So for example, if versioning is something that you do with within your workflow and you'd like to see how a model has changed over time, model comparison might be a great tool for you to utilize. So basically, it walks you through exactly what you need to do. So it's asking me to select the old part or maybe version 1 of the part. So I'll go ahead and use the model tree to select that. And then it's asking me to select the new part. So I'll start that selection and then select my latest part. And then down below, it asks you how you'd like to represent everything that's been added or everything that's been removed. So I'll use green for anything that's been added, and I'll use red for anything that's been removed, and I'll go ahead and compare these sets. So as you can see within the model, everything that's been removed is automatically highlighted in red. Everything that's been added is highlighted in green. And the nice thing about it is you can use this slider to show only what's been added. And this is a radius that's been added. So in reality, this material might not necessarily be added, but this is how it's represented in SpinFire Insight because it was a added change. So you can see that this radius has been added. Or you can kind of scoot things over and you can see what also has been taken away from the model as well. So this slider is a great way to kind of get rid of some unnecessary noise that might be visible in your model and allows you to quickly just see the important things that you might be looking for. One additional thing that I'd like to show you with my remaining time is rule-based coloring. So this is great for if you would like to quickly visualize and see different components of your models based on certain conditions. So in this example, maybe we manufacture this skill saw and anything that is beyond a certain size needs to be custom packaged, and anything that falls below a certain size can be shipped off as it sits. So we'll go to rule-based coloring. And using this, we can set up some rules. So I'll go ahead and add a rule in here. And I'll go, since I'm concerned with the size of the component, I'm going to go to physical property type. And in physical property type, I'm going to use volume. And I like to compare that to a value. And if it's greater than a certain size, I'd like to do something. So I'll use greater than. And for operation value, let's say if it's greater than 80,000 millimeters cubed, and I'll go ahead and select OK. So now it gives me exactly what my rule is. So physical property volume greater than 80,000 millimeters cubed. So if it's greater than that value, I'd like to show it in my view. So it gives me several options. So either I can show it exactly how it shows right now, I can give it transparency, excuse me, I can hide it, or I can give it a specific color. And I like to color it a specific way. So I like to color it in red just to give an indication like, hey, this falls above our value, so we need to create some custom packaging for this. And if it doesn't fall above that value, then I'd like to color it in green, just indicating it's good to go. We can ship it as it exists. So now that I have all of that set up, I'll go ahead and click Analyze. And this will take some time to do some computation. So it's doing some number crunching right now for me. And once this finishes loading, hopefully we'll see in the view that things have been colored accordingly. So just a little bit more time for that. Okay, so our model has been updated to reflect our values. So anything above 80,000 millimeters cubed is colored in red, showing that we need to address some shipping constraints for that, and everything that's highlighted in green is basically good to go. Another nice thing about this is I mentioned some number crunching that it was doing. So this automatically calculates a few things for you. So for every part in the assembly, it's calculating its volume, its area, and its center of mass. It also groups it by conditions. So this is everything that fell above 80,000 millimeters cubed. So these are all of the components that will need custom packaging. However, down below in another nice table, these are all of the components that don't need any shipping, addressing, or anything like that. So this gives it to you in a nice table so you can quickly figure out and pick what parts need addressing and what parts don't. Additionally, you can export this to a CSV. So if you have members of your team that maybe don't have access to SpinFire Insight, you can just export this as a CSV and they can quickly see what parts need to be custom packaged versus what parts don't. And with that said, that's about all of the time that I have today. So I will go ahead and hand it back over to Carissa.
Thank you, Ricky, again for covering the recent updates on the SpinFire Insight. And for the full release notes, please see the URL on the screen. I will give you all just a moment to review that. So now let's talk about who is actually benefiting from CAD viewing and CAD access. Pretty much everyone within the value chain of discrete manufacturing organization. Just a few examples that you can see below and read through, but the IT manager who can avoid paying for the expensive software training and the renewal costs. Engineering, this helps increase access to CAD data without the expensive overhead. There is the tooling department, procurement. Additionally, there's quality, who can view the GD&T and then translate the CAD to a usable format for quality devices. You've got shop floor, company management, and so on. It's open to so many people. There are a lot of benefits to consider, especially with regards to providing enterprise CAD viewing. I'd like to take a moment about why enterprise visualization matters and how SpinFire Insight can make the real difference for your organization. On average, only 4% of your staff are CAD designers or power users that define the product definition within the native CAD application. But what about the rest of the organization? In building products, you must share and collaborate, regarding this information. Otherwise, errors, delays, and costs are inevitable. CAD is too complex and expensive for the enterprise use. All other viewers are sold per license or by named user, automatically limiting who gets access. And then those employees without access, they go and buy random alternative viewers to get their targeted task accomplished. Hence, numerous viewers are strewn across your enterprise, unable to speak with other viewers. And it's been this way for decades. And today, there is a better way. We only have the one vendor has solved the strategic problem, and TechSoft 3D is the solution for SpinFire Insight. What does that mean from a practical standpoint? Here is an actual customer. After evaluating many other solutions, SpinFire Insight was chosen for its ease of use, but with all the power the users required. What makes the difference was our SpinFire Insight Enterprise Bundle. Unlike other vendors who impose complex protection schemes and create barriers to scaling, SpinFire Insight's Enterprise Bundle make enterprise-wide deployment simple. With a cost-effective model and minimal administrative overhead, allow adoption to happen organically without friction or red tape. By eliminating the direct expense, the overbought CAD licenses, this customer paid for SpinFire Insight solution and still saved $200,000 annually and expanded the solution to 64 separate locations. Cost reduction isn't the primary driver. It wasn't the primary driver. Relying on multiple CAD viewers introduced avoidable errors that ended up costing far more than the savings gained from eliminating CAD licenses. After all, isn't that the point? I mean, isn't that why you're all here? It's not only to save the money, but it's also to improve your business performance because having the team on the same page in the end is priceless.
Thanks, Carissa. Thank you to you and Ricky for that informative presentation. And actually, we did get some questions during the webinar, so let me pull those up. Ricky, I think this one's for you. One of our customers is asking, how do I deactivate and transfer my license?
Yeah. That's actually a great question and one that we get fairly often. So you don't have to deactivate your license. If you have a new machine, you can basically just take that same seat ID that was used for your previous machine and add that. If you go to the options tab in SpinFire Insight, you can add that to your activation. And if you click yes, then it will automatically update for you and activate on your new machine. Um, However, we do sometimes run into people running out of the maximum transfers that they can do. So if that happens, or if you have any trouble activating, just reach out to us through the help desk and we can up that max transfer and hopefully get you up and running on your new machine.
Great. While we're asking you some technical questions here, someone did ask, is there a roadmap or release schedule for upcoming features?
Yes, there is. And actually, I can show you where that lives. So you should be seeing my screen now. So on the same documentation page that I showed previously, there's this public roadmaps page. So you can see kind of everything that we have in the works. We have the release plans and schedules, format updates, I'm sorry, as well as short-term and long-term and midterm projects. So this is a great way to see what we have in the works and kind of is a comprehensive overview of everything that we're doing.
Great. Thank you. Carissa, why don't you take this one? Someone's asking, how do I learn more about the other two solutions you mentioned earlier on the webinar?
Of course. So after this webinar, I'm going to reach out to all of you personally. And if there are any other additional questions, we can schedule a call and I can get those information over to you and answer the questions that you have.
Fantastic. And it looks like we have just one more. Back to you, Ricky. Does the low for performance setting affect export quality?
Yeah, another good question. So it does affect just your viewing in SpinFire Insight. So it just adds some optimizations within SpinFire Insight just for the sake of viewing, but it doesn't modify geometry and things like that. So once you go to export, your model should still have all of the geometry and attributes that it was imported with. So no, it doesn't affect your exporting or anything like that.
And it looks like that's it for questions, and we can wrap up a little early, which means you all get a few minutes back in your day. Thank you all so much for joining and for spending your time with us. If you think of any questions after we end, please don't hesitate to reach out. For technical and product questions, please direct them to Ricky Johnson. And for any sales related questions, please reach out to Carissa Moreau. As we mentioned in the beginning, your opinion matters to us, so please take a moment to complete a quick feedback survey that'll pop up on your screen. And thank you all and have a great day. Thanks, everybody.